have a couple of weeks ago, Peter Sumich said since he's been, it's the best pre-season he's seen you have. How have you gauged your pre-season?
Well, it certainly helps when you're not recovering from surgery and you're able to get out on the track and train and do basically every session. So I've been very fortunate in that sense that my pre-seasons look that way out there most days, and training a lot more than I have in the previous two pre-seasons by virtue of not having surgery at the end of last year.
Did you have a feeling the last 2 years going in that there may be some issues during the year?
Oh, particularly last year, yeah. I mean, coming off sort of 4 lots of surgery at the end of 2012 and had some ongoing issues with other parts of my body as well. So I knew that it was going to be a battle, but was still optimistic that I'd be able to perform to a standard that's certainly acceptable, but found out early on that I was still battling a couple of injuries and therefore went back in. So it's nice to be as fit as I can be heading into the season.
How have you gauged Fremantle's pre-season?
Look, pretty solid. We've had the majority of the guys that played in the final series last year get through the majority of the work and play in the pre-season games. We've had a couple that have had certainly modified pre-seasons, but generally speaking, we've got out what we needed to, and we're looking forward to the season now.
Nice guy, Fife, Ballantyne. How do you see them? Do you expect them to play?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, it's really hard for me to know exactly how they're tracking, but I would suggest they'll be out there today and ready for Friday night.
How close to your grand final 22 do you think you'll be for Friday night?
I'm not in match committee, so there's 2 there. I look pretty close, I would have thought. Yeah. Not that it really makes a huge amount of difference because teams change year to year and whatnot, but clearly last year is now well long gone, and we're looking forward to this year. And whoever runs out there on Friday night, there could be a couple of new faces, there could be some old ones. We're looking forward to them, giving the effort and the attitude that it's needed.
As not a selector, but captain and great player and great bloke and analyst and so on. 3 or 4 names of players who will press for selection, you think, first game? Who's had a good pre-season? I'm not comfortable naming individuals. I think, generally speaking, there's that younger group of players that have come through 2 or 3 seasons ago that are certainly pressing, but it's hard to identify exactly who is in and out right at this point in time because we haven't actually set foot on the track this week. Would Jack Hanneth be the most likely backup ruckman then, at least?
His performance on Thursday night was certainly much improved on his previous 2, and we're really looking forward to Jack, if he does get the opportunity, showing the aggression and the attitude that he did against the Eagles on Thursday, because it was very impressive.
Sorry, Dave, any chance Zach Clark could come straight in for Reading?
Highly unlikely, but he's doing a huge amount of work out on the track and getting pretty close. I haven't spoken to Zach specifically about where he's at, but I saw him on Saturday doing some match simulation training, and he's looking like he's getting close to getting back into full training.
Have you assessed Aaron Sandlands' form this pre-season? Is he in the best probably he's been for a couple of years?
Yeah, Aaron's had a tremendous pre-season, and his form as well has been fantastic. It's great to see the big guy back out there playing and training the way that we know he can, and his body's touch wood in terrific condition, and he's really dominant at the moment, and we're looking forward to that going into the game on Friday.
Is that what you put it down to? Is just that his body's right? Or?
Yeah, I mean, when you're 120 kilograms and 7 foot tall, and you're playing the demanding game of AFL footy, there can be some issues with your body, and he certainly had a couple over the previous 2 seasons or so, but he has not missed a beat since day 1 of pre-season, out there trucking around the track as much as a 17 or 18-year-old new player onto our list. So it's great to see, and I'm expecting big things from him.
Matthew, it was a practice match, but on Thursday night they made a bit of a mess of your structures ahead of the ball so that they got repeat entries inside 50. Yep. You were basically just kicking out. You were done 1 on 2 or 1 on 3,
yep,
and was going straight back in again. What do you have to do to make sure that there's no repeat of that?
Well, hopefully we've already addressed that. We've sat down with the entire group and looked at some of our half forwards sort of getting too close to the contest and being worried too much about the opposition off the back of the stoppages. So we've certainly addressed that. It sort of happened a couple of years ago against West Coast when I think the world was going to end if you were a Fremantle supporter, or Ross Lyon fan when we couldn't get the ball out of our defensive zone, we had no forward structure and we couldn't score. So there was a little bit of that about the game on Thursday, but we're really confident that we've seen it before and we can fix it and remedy it really quickly in the lecture theatre, but also out into the track.
What about the loss of Gumbleton? Did that upset things a little bit in the forward line, given that presumably he was going to play up there with you, take a bit of pressure off you? Does it fall back onto you again as the main key forward?
Yeah, it's really disappointing for Scotty and for the club, because he'd worked so hard to get his body in great condition, and then something like that sort of just bobs up out of nowhere. Yeah, look, it probably does, but I think that's where Jack Hanneth and Chris Mayne and maybe one or two others can step into that role and fill that void that Scotty's left. But you know, regardless, as I said before, whoever runs out there on Friday night, it's all about our effort, attitude and intensity, and we believe if we bring that, we can get the result.
Any word on how Anthony Morabito pulled up after Saturday?
Looked like he hardly ran around. He looked $1 million when he walked in yesterday, and he looks the same again today. It's fantastic for the club and for him to see him get through the 3 quarters, I think it was, and play well and do a few things that we've always known that he's got in that body of his. And yeah, we're rapt that he got through and played well.
The whole pre-season we've been talking about being a month behind and playing catch-up. Do you feel like you've closed that gap at all?
I haven't necessarily subscribed to that theory. I understand that by virtue of days and minutes training and time at the club, we're a little bit behind, but I thought we've been able to catch up relatively quickly, even in that pre-Christmas period. The guys returned in fantastic shape, so that gives us every opportunity in that time to work on structures and game plans and things like that. So I think early on in the game, the first game against West Coast, we were just off. We weren't ready, and West Coast smacked us. So I think there's an understanding in this game that if you don't turn up, you're not ready to play, then that's what happens in this game. So I think we're as well prepared as we can be. We go into the game with absolutely no excuses this Friday night, and looking to really perform on the big stage.
How do you handle the expectation, obviously, everyone being great finalists, or do you welcome that?
Yeah, I don't think you can shy away from it. You know, whatever you do, people are still going to bring up last year, and people are going to bring up what they think is inevitable this year, and it counts for nothing. So whether it's expectation, whether it's people picking us in the paper or wherever it is, it doesn't bother us one bit. We just go about our business on a daily basis, and we know if we keep that attitude and a really sort of an application to task focus, then we'll get the job done.
Just on Collingwood, Pat, what have you made of their pre-season, and what are the key areas against them?
Certainly had a terrific pre-season for what we've heard and seen. You know, I think there's been a big drive for them after being disappointed last year, and they've certainly hit the ground running in their pre-season and their games as well. Looking forward to you know, playing in front of 50,000 Collingwood fans. I think the guys really embrace those opportunities now, and yeah, we're going to have to be certainly right near our best to get the victory.
They seem to be a bit more handball happy through the midfield. How do you counter that?
Yeah, look, I think Ross alluded to it maybe last week, saying that Collingwood have sort of tinkered a little bit with how they play, and that certainly has some threats for us, and the way they can move the ball quickly, and got some fantastic players in their squad. But you know, our strengths are obviously our pressure, our fierce tackling, and our ability to win the ball out back off the opposition. So we hope to bring that alive on Friday night.
Pat, is it fair to say that Ross leaves a lot of his... The perception is that Fremantle left a lot of their good tricks in the bag that they didn't get out of the pre-season matches. And just having watched particularly some of the early games, guys at the back just had being on a run all over the place, which generally wouldn't happen against Freo. Is that a fair assessment, do you think?
I think the first game, it's probably not a fair assessment because we were just right off the mark, but maybe in the next two, yeah, that we might have left a little in the kit bag, but that you can't really play around with the game plan too much because it's not something you can just switch on straight away. So we've been training it really hard. There's been elements of it in the game plan in the 2 games this season, but we're ready to attack it full on this Friday night.
Just one other thing on Anthony Morabito. After the game, when he first started, he was quite a shy kid but afterwards he spoke really well. It was seeing he's matured, seeing he's matured as a person enormously.
Well, it's amazing what adversity and hard times
puts you through and how that makes you grow. And Anthony's sort of obviously had, the best part of 3 years going through that adversity and challenging time. So to see him come out the other side as a person, as well-rounded and mature and better off, is a testament to him and the footy club support for him, I think.
What's his schedule from this point? Is he?
I don't know. I would say that he plays in the remainder of the Waffle and the Peel games, which might be one more practice game, I think, and then ready for the season proper.
A couple of big contract announcements last Friday. Any updates from Matthew Pavlich by any chance?
No, there's not.
Talk,
no, there's not. And this is hand on my heart, honest. It's not something that I'm focused on whatsoever. Contrary to popular view, I'm actually pretty busy with my job as a footballer and captain of the Fremantle Dockers and life outside of footy with a young family and a few other things. So my entire time and energy has been on that. So it's not something I've even thought about or discussed with anyone.
Do you finish at the end of this? When's your contract up?
End of 2014, yeah.
Still got how many years do you reckon you got?
I don't know. What do you reckon?
3.